Good morning. Good morning. My name is Jerry, and welcome to Bread and Breath Devotional, a daily moment to slow down, relax, and let's take a moment to take in what God might be saying to us today. Let's feed our spirits with the Word of God before the world feeds us the stress. Today's daily bread is titled, When the Night Feels Long, God is Still Your Defense, coming from the book of Psalms, chapter 59, verses 9 through 17. Family, today we are in Psalm 59, and this passage speaks to anyone who has ever felt surrounded, stressed, attacked, misunderstood, or worn down by people and situations. David wrote this psalm during a time when his enemies were watching his house, waiting for the right moment to harm him. He was under pressure, under threat, and under emotional strain. Yet in the middle of that situation, David did something powerful. He turned his focus to God. In verse 9, he says, "Because of his strength will I wait upon thee, for God is my defense." Notice what David says. He does not say his strength will save him. He says God's strength is what he waits on. And many times when life gets hard, we try to handle everything with our own strength. We try to fix every situation, defend ourselves, argue our point, prove ourselves right, or fight back when we feel wrong. But David shows us another way. He says, "I will wait on God because God is my defense." Waiting on God does not mean doing nothing. It means trusting that God sees what you see, hears what you hear, and knows what you are dealing with. It means you don't have to react to every attack. You don't have to respond to every person who misunderstands you. You don't have to fight every battle because God can fight for you. David continues in verse 10. He says, "The God of my mercy shall prevent me. God shall let me see my desire upon my enemies." He calls God the God of my mercy. And that means even in a stressful situation, David remembers that God has been merciful to him before. Sometimes when we are under pressure, we forget all the times God already brought us through. We forget the prayers he answered, the doors he opened, and the trouble he kept us from. But remembering God's past mercy gives you the strength for your present struggle. David then describes his enemies as restless, like people wandering around at night looking for something to devour. In verses 14 through 15, he says, "They roam about for food and growl if they are not satisfied." This shows how stress can feel. Problems don't always come once and leave. Sometimes they keep circling back. Sometimes the issue shows up again and again. Sometimes they keep the same type of conflict keeps happening in different places with different people. But listen to David's response in verse 16. "But I will sing of thy power. Yea, I will sing aloud of thy mercy in the morning." This is powerful. David is still in danger, but he is already talking about the morning. That means he believes he's going to make it through the night. Faith does not mean the problem disappears right away. Faith means you trust God enough to believe there will be another morning. Some of you are in a night season right now, a night of stress, a night of confusion, a night of temptation, a night of loneliness, a night of pressure on your job, pressure in your mind, pressure in your life. But this psalm reminds us that night does not last forever. Morning is coming, and God will still be there when the sun rises. David says, For thou hast been my defense and refuge in the day of my trouble. Notice he says my trouble, not someone else's trouble. Faith becomes real when you know God is not just a refuge in general, but your refuge personally. When life gets hard, you have to learn how to talk to God for yourself. You have to know him for yourself. You have to trust him for yourself. Then David closes with these words in verse 17. Unto thee, O my strength, will I sing, for God is my defense and the God of my mercy. He calls God his strength, his defense, and his mercy. That covers everything. When he feels weak, God is his strength. When he feels attacked, God is his defense. When he feels unworthy, God is his mercy. And that same truth applies to us today. When the job feels stressful, God is your strength. When people misunderstand you, God is your defense. When you know you made mistakes, God is your mercy. When the night feels long, God is still watching over you. You may not be surrounded by soldiers like David, but you can still feel surrounded by pressure, surrounded by temptation, surrounded by frustration, surrounded by thoughts that won't leave you alone. This psalm reminds us that even when you feel surrounded, you are not alone. God sees you working. God sees you struggling. God sees you trying. God sees you praying. God sees you fighting battles nobody else knows about. And just like David, you can make a decision in the middle of the night season. You can complain or you can worship. You can panic or you can trust. You can react to everything or you can wait on God. David chose to sing, not because life was easy, but because he knew God, he knew who God was. So today, if you are tired, wait on God. If you are stressed, run to God. If you feel attacked, let God defend you. If you feel weak, lean on his strength. If you feel like the night is long, remember that morning is coming. Because the same God who kept David is the same God who is keeping you. If this blessed someone today, please like, share, subscribe, and share this with someone who may need a word of encouragement today. And peace. Be blessed, family.